All right, you guys. For this demo, please watch the entire thing before you actually start this assignment, okay? I'm going to be doing some time-lapse parts, but I'd like you to, again, watch the entire thing before you do this assignment, okay? It shouldn't be super long. Anyway, when you get this worksheet, definitely put your name on it. And then from there, you're going to need to read the instructions, and the instructions are to color the color wheel using only the colors red, yellow, and blue. Okay, these are the primary colors. So I have some here. You're going to carefully color each section using your persistence, right? So we're going to color very carefully. I'm going to demonstrate that here in a second. And then number 3, after you're done, right next to each color if it's primary, secondary, or intermediate. And then that's why I have the lines right here. So the red, you would write what it is right here. And we'll do that in a little bit. All right, so 3 colors, that's it. That's the whole thing. What I recommend you doing is I would recommend you start by coloring the red, yellow, and blue sections first. Okay, it'll make the most sense. You're going to color carefully and slowly and within the lines. You're going to have today and tomorrow to work on this, so don't panic. You don't need to get it done today. Now I'm moving on to yellow. And then last to blue. I would recommend a dark blue for this assignment. From that point, I would move on to your secondary colors, right? So we're gonna look at the pie pieces that are right in the middle of each of these colors, right? So let's start with orange. To do any type of coloring with these, when you're mixing the colors, you want to start with your lightest color first. So I'm going to start with yellow for orange. So orange is made out of red and yellow, right? And that's why they're right here. I'm going to start with yellow because it's going to be a little bit easier to work with. And I'm going to do a light layer of yellow to start with. Okay, so I have my layer of yellow for orange, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a light layer of orange or red for my orange. So I'm barely coloring, you guys. I'm not doing any level of pencil pressure like this. I'm not doing this. Okay, don't do it. Okay, you want to color lightly like this. Okay. All right, so now I have a color that looks pretty orangey. It's pretty close. I'm going to add just one more layer of yellow on top of it though, and it'll help it just balance it just about right. On the yellow, I am pushing just a little bit harder than I did with the red. Okay. All right, so now I have a good orange. Now what I can do is I can create the colors that are in between here. Now, if you notice, this one is called red orange and this one's called yellow orange. So I would highly recommend starting with yellow on this one and then starting with red on this one. So for example, I'm gonna do this. Okay. Now I'm going to do a second layer of yellow. I can press a little bit hard on this one. Okay, so now this color looks pretty similar to this color. So we need to add one more layer of red, okay? And we wanna make sure, like, as we're coloring, we want it to fall between these two colors. So we don't wanna go too hard with the red. We don't wanna go too light with red or else it still looks too orange. Okay, so now I have red, red, orange, and orange, okay? I'm now going to come over to yellow, orange. I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to start with yellow and do a layer of red and then do yellow again. And make sure that when you're doing this one, you don't go too dark with your red because it can blend too much into orange. So you have to be very, very careful with that one. So again, go really light with your red. Layer of yellow. I'm going to move on to red, violet, and blue violet because these ones are the most confusing ones. Your red and blue are made by a colored pencil company that doesn't quite put the right pigments into your colored pencils. I'm using Prismacolors and they do a little bit better. But really, I do want you guys to know that your violet is going to look really strange. So I'm going to do this part next, and then I'll do this pretty quickly. With violet, it doesn't matter which one you start with. Red and blue, if you notice, are pretty evenly matched in terms of darkness. Your yellow, the reason why it's so important to do this side like this is because yellow gets overwhelmed by these colors. So when we do the green section, you know, you want to be careful with your blue, just like you were careful with your red, but red and blue are they're pretty evenly matched. So it really doesn't matter which one you start with on violet. The red violet, you want to start with red, and blue violet, you want to start with blue. But other than that, it really doesn't matter. Yeah, that's probably fine for violet, just doing the 2 layers. And then I'm going to go into red violet. And then blue violet, start with blue. Okay. All right, and then the last one is green. Again, I'm going to start with yellow because yellow is an overwhelmed color. Then I'm going to do a layer of blue. Again, I'm going to go light on the blue because blue is an overwhelming color. Last sections, I'm going to start with blue for the blue-green. That's perfect. All right, and then yellow-green. Start with yellow. Then a light layer of blue. So I actually made a mistake with this one. And if you notice, between these two, they look pretty similar in terms of value. So like this is actually pretty close to green. Because I did that, and I'm kind of glad I did. So if you accidentally do something like that where this color doesn't look like it's lighter than that color, I'm going to go back in because this is pretty dark for a blue-green. I can actually add a little bit more blue to this, and that's totally fine because it'll help it make this look more yellow-green and this more blue, or more green. So now these 3 colors look different from each other. Do you see how this now looks more of a green and this one looks more yellow-green? What I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to write if they're primary, secondary, or intermediate here. Okay, just like that. And when you are done with this one you are actually going to submit in the basket. So you're going to turn this into the basket. A couple of notes before I let you go though. This whole thing took me about 30 minutes to do. I'm expecting you to take about 30 minutes, if not longer. Okay. All right. And that's it.